to the third lesson on upper and lower bounds. And today we're going to be looking at upper and lower bounds when you've got measurements which are given using decimal places or significant figures. So let's start with decimal places, which is slightly easier. So I've run 200 meters and it's taken me 26.7 seconds, which has been rounded to one decimal place. You can see it's rounded to one decimal place because there's only one number after the decimal point. Now, the easiest way to think of this is think, okay, 26.7, if one decimal place, what's that the same as if I wanted to write it to the nearest something? Well, one decimal place, if you think about it, the number after the decimal point is the tenths column or the 0.1 column. So actually it's the same as rounding to the nearest 0.1 second. And as usual, we know that to find the upper and lower bounds, we're going to add and subtract half of that, which is 0.05. So my lower bound is going to be 26.7 take away 0.05. Well, that's 26.65 seconds. And my upper bound is going to be 26.7 add 0.05, and that's just 26.75 seconds. Okay, if we go on to another one, this one, again, I'm running my 200 meters, but this time my time has been measured to two decimal places, and you can see that because there are two numbers after the decimal point, 26.73 seconds. Well, two decimal places, the second number after the decimal point, well, that's the hundredths column, or 0.01. So this time it has been rounded to the nearest, not 0.1 this time, but to the nearest 0.01, or to the nearest hundredth, which means you add and subtract half of that, which is 0.005. Okay, so the lower bound is going to be 26.73 take away 0.005. Well, that's 26.725. You can always use a calculator here, and that's in seconds. And the upper bound is, as usual, going to be 26.73 add 0.005, and that's just 26.735 seconds. Okay, let's see how it works with significant figures, and we're going to do three different examples here. Well, they look very similar, but in fact they're not. The number of significant figures that each measurement has been rounded to is different. So first of all, we've told that a motorway is 700 kilometers long, and that's to one significant figure. Now all you need to do here is count from the first number, which is not a zero. So in this case, I'm just going to go, so the first non-zero is going to be the 7, and in fact we're only doing one significant figure, so actually the first significant figure, the number 1, I've written in that column there, and that's 7. We'll think, what does that 7 actually mean? Well, that 7 actually means 700. So in this case, the length of the motorway has been rounded to the nearest 100 because that first significant figure is in the hundreds column. So to find my upper and lower bounds, I'm going to add and subtract half of 100, which is 50. Okay, so my lower bound, first of all, is going to be 700 take away 50, and my upper bound is going to be 700 add 50. Well, 700 add 50 is 750, and that's kilometers. 700 take away 50, well, that's going to be 650 kilometers. Now the next two examples, very similar as I say, but very different in terms of the number of significant figures. Let's look at the next one. So the next one says, so same motorway, but this time we're told it's 700 kilometers to two significant figures. So this time count from the beginning of the number, okay, so the first non-zero, 1, 2. So the second significant figure, which is what we're interested in this case, is in that second column. And if you think about it, we have hundreds, tens, and units. So this time that second significant figure is in the tens column. So this time the number has been rounded to the nearest 10. And if it's been rounded to the nearest 10, we add and subtract half of 10, which is 5. So this time the lower bound is going to be 700 take away 5, and the upper bound is going to be 700 add 5, okay, giving us an upper bound of 705 kilometers and a lower bound of 695 kilometers. Okay, so very different from the last one. Okay, if we look at the third example here, we've got 700 kilometers, this time to three significant figures. You should be able to see where we're going now. So the third significant figure, remember we count 1, 2, 3. Third significant figure is in this column here, and that's the units or the ones column. So this time it's been rounded to the nearest 1 or to the nearest 1 kilometer. So we're going to add and subtract half of 1, which is 0.5. So this time the lower bound is going to be 700 take away 0.5. The upper bound is going to be 700 add 0.5. So the upper bound is 705 kilometers. Oh, sorry, what am I talking about? 700.5 kilometers. And the lower bound is going to be 699.5 kilometers.